This conference will now be recorded.
Let me get my slides.
All right, this is Chairman Mason. I'm calling the meeting to order of the Historic Preservation Board meeting. Pursuant to section 551.127 of the Texas Government Code and in conjunction with the guidance and provisions provided by the Governor of Texas in the Declaration of Disaster and subsequent executive orders altering certain Open Meetings Act requirements and ordering that gatherings of more than 10 people shall be avoided. The Historic Preservation Board of the City of Denison, Texas will conduct the meeting scheduled at 12 p.m. on Tuesday, June 16th, 2020 by video teleconference in order to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face meetings, also called social distancing, to slow the speed or spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19. There will be no in-person public access and a quorum will not be physically present. Okay.
Those words say, for the sake of the minute, I believe it says video conferencing. So I think we need to change that to audio. I think I heard the words video.
Thank you. I was just reading what was written.
Well, no, that's just, I know, darling. I'm just thinking for the sake of the minute.
Okay. We have a roll call
George Mason,
here.
Jennifer Notch,
Here.
Linda Anderson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Items for individual consideration. Citizens, do we have any citizens who are joining in to give us any input on these items? Mr. Medina?
I don't see anybody in the queue,
Okay.
but I have a correction on here, or at least a clarification on the minutes.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Anderson was inquiring, so I figured I can take the opportunity to clarify. So on the, I guess this is the top of the second page towards the end of the minutes, it says, Mr. Lay stated that this was a completely separate process since demolition of that building was the end goal. That's referring to a separate project that was done on Morton Street. So we can go back and clarify that address. And then the following sentences, I guess the next sentence down says, or two sentences down, says, quote, Ms. Murray stated that that was not the plan at this point, and that the designation of another tool in moving toward the repair of the building and failing that, bringing it down. I think we can strike out the section that says bringing it down, just to help clarify that the city's perspective and goal is to not demolish the building. We're trying to preserve the building. I think that helps clarify that. Is that what you're looking at, Linda?
It is indeed, and we would in fact have to make the sentence in after the repair of the building, because, and then failing that, pursue other options. But you have to leave off the and failing that part. And given that, with the period after building, I would move that change to the minutes be made.
Okay. We got that written down. We'll get that cleaned up for y'all.
Thank you. Does that motion require a second since we're amending the?
We haven't asked for a call yet.
Okay, thanks, George.
With that correction being made, I'm now asking for any, we had conversation. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
This is Linda Anderson, and with that change to the minutes, I move approval.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Jennifer Knott, aye.
Linda Anderson, aye.
Okay, George Mason, aye. Opposed? There being none, then the minutes have been approved as amended. Moving on to item B. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a determination. I'm sorry, I'm into the wrong minutes. There we go. Receive, report, hold discussion, and take action on a request for addition of stucco over the existing brick and cinder block facade at 624-626 West Main, case number 2020-028H. Mr. Medina, do you want to present that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And it's good to see you all again and hear you, Linda. So in this case here, the applicant is requesting to install stucco on the west-facing facade of 624 and 626 West Main. The west facade of the building is constructed of both painted brick and cement blocks and has begun to deteriorate. Staff recommends approval. Here's an aerial of the two buildings here. It's directly adjacent to Denison Glass, which is also adjacent to the Marr building, which recently had those stucco modifications and upgrades. So this proposal would match those two buildings as well. So that would add a lot of cohesiveness to that 600 block, kind of bring that whole section together. There's also pictures in your packet that show the brick starting to, I wouldn't say fail, but it's beginning to be damaged by the weather. Same with the cinder blocks towards the west. And then an example of the Marr building, of it still being under construction. So I went out and took some pictures. You can see the paint starting to come off and the brick falling apart on the top. So this will help preserve that edge of the building. The front facade brick looks to be in good condition, so they won't be touching any of that. Here's the west facade as well. Sorry, here's the west facade as well, towards the rear. And I'm here for any questions that you may have, and recommend approval.
Any questions?
Make a motion that, sorry,
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Linda. Okay.
No. I was just going to say that it would, in fact, immeasurably improve the look of that block. And it's great that the building owner is stepping up to make those changes. So we'll have those three buildings in a row with basically the same finish out. And that would be great for that block, for the 600 block.
Any more discussion? Questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll move that that the changes to the stucco on the side walls of 624, 626 West Main be approved. And I'm not sure if the language goes with that.
This is Linda Anderson. I second the motion.
All in favor?
Linda Anderson, aye.
Jennifer Knott, aye.
George Mason, aye. Opposed? Having none, then the motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to item C. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to demolish the existing steel structure and wooden fence located at 400 West Chestnut, case number 2020-029H. Mr. Medina?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So in this case, the city is requesting the removal and demolition of an existing steel structure and wooden fence. The city will repave and stripe the site for a future parking lot. This is part of our developing downtown master plan project that the city's been working on, which is improving access to adequate parking in our downtown areas. So as I'm sure you guys are familiar with, this is the vacant lot here with the steel structures. There's, in this photo, you can see an abandoned car that's there. It's directly south of Denison Hotel. And here's another aerial of that as well. It's my understanding that the Public Works Department has already started the process, but we felt like it was always a good idea to bring this sort of stuff before this body. The next step would be for us working with our engineers and designing the new layout of the site and hopefully incorporate adequate landscaping as well. Present for any questions that you may have, and we recommend approval.
I have a question, Mr. Medina. This is George Mason. I take that this will necessitate the removal of any trees that are on that lot?
So I don't have the paving plans for the project right now, so I can't give you an exact count of how many will be preserved.
Okay.
You know, like I mentioned, we're also going to be working with our engineers, and Kimberly and I will be working with them to make sure that there is adequate landscaping. So I'm assuming some of these are going to have to come out to repave. We'd like to save as much as we can, but we're going to try to mitigate that. We'll take a look at our ordinance and see what that requirement is.
Very good. Any other questions? May I have a motion?
This is Linda Anderson. I move to approve the demolition of the existing structures to allow for a future parking lot located at 400 West Chestnut.
A second. This is Jennifer Knott.
All in favor?
Jennifer Knott.
Linda Anderson, aye.
George Mason, aye. Any nays? Then the motion is carried. All right, on to the last item. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide staff updates on the recently adopted 2020 Board and Commissions Policy Manual. Mr. Medina.
All right. So this last item here, we're not looking for an action of any sort. Our city clerk and secretary, have been working really hard on pulling together this boards and commission policy manual. It's very comprehensive. It's been useful for me as well, just to kind of take a look at it. Helps me to understand a little bit of my responsibilities, the board's responsibilities, the role that the city council and the manager are going to play on these boards, as well as, you know, the attendance policy, you know, how often that you will need to be attending. Let's see, while each board's a little bit specific on when we meet and some of our individual requirements, generally speaking, you know, this is going to touch on, I think it even gives a definition of bribery, you know, of qualifications. It talks about a little bit of ethics on, you know, serving on a city board. So we sent this out in the packet, and if you would like this separately, I can also get this to you as well. But, you know, we highly recommend for everybody to take a look at it. And if you have any questions, just get back to us. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody who will. I'm happy to talk about this.
Okay, there's a couple of documents in there that require signatures. So I assume you want us to get those to Ms. Wallentine?
They haven't done them yet.
Yeah, if you haven't done these, then yeah.
Oh,
now,
if we've done them, we don't have to repeat it because it's a new handbook?
Right.
Yeah, Fanchon, is that correct?
So I think that there's one sheet that just acknowledges that you received it. And I think that that's all that would need to be signed if that hasn't been signed and submitted. I don't know that we had a handbook previously, so I think that this is the first one that's gone out. So if you've completed the other trainings or whatever else is in there, then I wouldn't worry about that. But the handbook acknowledgement, that might still need to go to Chris if it hasn't already.
I signed a page recently for the Parks and Rec Committee. Is this the same thing?
No, this will be different. So I can pull up anything that each of you need to sign and send it separately. I think that we have everything on file that we had previously for everyone on this body. So I think it would just be that acknowledgement of receiving the handbook. But let me go through and double check, and I'll get with Bill and Felicia, and we'll get an email out to each of you guys individually in case there is anything that you need to sign or training you need to complete or anything like that.
There's an affidavit of conflict of interest that's there. I assume that's something you need to sign.
Yeah, that would be with, you know, an individual project. If you based on this manual, if you do have a conflict of interest on a project that's coming before the board, you would take a look at this. maybe not fill out this version, but I can get you other versions that you can sign, so that way you're not having to rip them out of the manual. But yeah,
Okay.
that's just what that is. That's what that's going to look like.
Okay, very good. So I think that brings us to the end of the meeting. Do I need to get a motion to adjourn, Bill?
Yes, but one quick point I just put on here, when our next meeting is going to be due to the holiday. We've had to shuffle some meeting dates around. So it's going to be July 21st. I got that on screen. So July 21st at 12 noon is what I have for our next meeting.
And will we be meeting at Town Hall or?
I believe it should be in person, right? But as far as I know, we are meeting in person in July.
Okay,
Great.
very good.
Yay.
And that's all I have.
Linda
Okay,
Anderson, I move to adjourn.
I second Jennifer Knott.
all in favor?
Aye,
Knott,
Linda
aye.
Anderson.
Nay? Any nays? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer.
Thank you.